Hey guys, welcome back to New 9 Golf, where we review the hottest gear and gadgets in golf. Today we're at a GOLFTEC, and we're going to be reviewing the 2021 Callaway line. We got 3 different player irons set up. We're going to hit them inside the studio, take a look at the numbers, and see what's going to be best for my game. Okay, before we dive into the club review, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the like, so that way you can see our future videos for the other brands that we're going to be reviewing. Now let's take a look first at the Callaway Mavrik Pro. Okay, the first initial thoughts taking a look at the Callaway Mavrik Pro is that it's a very solid looking iron. When I look at it from the back, looking at the cavity, you can see there's a lot of weight behind the club. When I put it down on the ground, it looks more like a player iron. So it looks like there's going to be some forgiveness if you are able to hit it on the toe or to heel to still get the ball to carry. But from a look perspective, it looks very clean from the back and from the front. Let's give it a few swings and see how it looks. The ball that we're going to be using today for all of the review and testing is the Chrome Soft X Triple Trek. Let's hit a few and see how it's looking. So the launch monitor that we're using today to get these numbers is the Foresight launch monitor. We're going to be collecting all of the data on the GOLFTEC TECFIT software. So that first swing actually felt pretty good. I would say I hit that pretty square on the screws, and the numbers are a lot further than my normal 7-iron. We're hitting a 7-iron, and it says the total distance is 213. Now that's a massive 7-iron. Let's see if I got lucky, we'll hit a couple more. So the shaft we're gonna be using today for all of the clubs we're gonna try out is a Project X 6.5 Flex. So the shaft will stay standard, we're just gonna be swapping out the heads. Okay guys, so we've done a couple swings now with the Mavrik Pro, and it's a pretty awesome club so far. I felt like I hit a couple on the screws, maybe 1 or 2 mishits, and the ball was still flying relatively consistent. It's looking like we're around 205 carry with a 7-iron. Now that's a monster club. The spin rate is really good, but I'm thinking my launch angle is just a little bit high. I want to bring it down just a bit. We're going to swap heads out and see how the others compare. All right, now we're going to be trying out the Callaway X-Forged CB. We're going into a more players looking club. It's looking a little thinner, more of a muscle back. Looking from the back, again, very clean. There's those 2 screws holding in the weight. Looks very clean. When I hold it down to look at address, it looks just a little bit thinner than the last club that we tried out. Let's give it a couple swings and we'll see how it goes. That felt pretty good. Okay, that was my first swing with the X-Forged CB, and it was by far the purest shot that I've hit since coming into this bay. What we noticed with the numbers is it actually went higher, spun more, and didn't carry as far. So it's interesting to know that my best hit so far with the X-Forged CB isn't going as far, and it went higher than the Mavrik Pro. We'll hit a couple more just to see if that's confirmed. All right, that was a good miss hit, and by good miss hit I mean good for our numbers and good for our comparison's sake. I felt like I had a similar miss hit when I was hitting the Mavrik Pro, and it went still much further than this last shot. This last shot went about 185, and I lost a considerable amount of distance as well as ball speed. So it's good to know just a little miss hit is definitely changing the numbers as we're hitting the X-Forged CB. We'll hit one more and see how we do. Okay, so since we're using the same shaft, we're really getting a good look and a test for the heads. Because the shaft is staying consistent and what's typically fit for my swing speed, we get a really good look of the heads and how the heads differ. So there's no change in shaft, just the heads, and we'll see how those results look. Okay, that was a really pure hit, and as we're looking at the numbers, the ball is still going higher and spinning more. In turn, I'm losing less distance. For as far as feel goes, it feels great. When I hit it on the screws, it feels as good as any other club I've hit. With the miss hits, obviously we're losing a considerable amount of distance. So I'm obviously not a professional golfer, and I want my miss hits to be, not overly drastic. So in comparing the two, so far the Mavrik Pro, the miss hits are better than the X-Forged CB. Now we're gonna plug in an Apex MB and see how those results look. The last club we're going to be reviewing is the Callaway Apex MB. Now this is their blade. This is the most player iron that they have. It has the thinnest top line and the thinnest sole. You can control the flights if you want to flight it low or hit something a little higher. It's their most workable club, and in turn, if there's a mishit, chances are we'll see the numbers a little bit more drastic than previously. As I hold this, it's very heavy. I can feel all of the weight in the head. It's a very clean looking club that when I look down, it probably looks the smallest. I don't think it is necessarily smaller, but visually, because it is thinner, it looks smaller. It's a little bit more intimidating to look at if you're not used to hitting a blade. We'll hit it, give it a couple, and we'll see how it compares to the other clubs. All right, so I've hit a couple with the Apex MB, and right away my mishits were garbage. And as I expected with a blade, if you're not catching it in the center of the club face, you're gonna pay for it. I don't think it matters on the brand. Any blade, if you hit a little off center, you're gonna get some initial feedback. It took me 3 swings to get one flush on the screws, and looking at the numbers, it's still going high, still has a high spin rate, and that was the furthest offline that I've hit yet. For me personally, I would gear more towards the more forgiving irons that Callaway offers. This is definitely a clean looking club. I just don't think I have a consistent swing as I'm hoping for to play an iron like this. When you hit it on the screws, it feels fantastic. It's just those mishits that I can't afford to be losing those strokes on the golf course. Looks good, feels good when I hit it square. I'm just not as consistent enough as I'd hope to be to play a club like this. Okay, in wrapping up our review, for me personally, the clubs that we hit the first, the Mavrik Pro, by far felt the best. It felt the smoothest, even with the mishits, and it was a pretty hot ball. That thing was coming off the club hot. It was kind of a decline after I had hit those. As I moved to the X-Forged and then into the Apex MB, I noticed a huge difference in my ball flight and just the way that it felt. By no means are they bad clubs. In fact, Callaway is pumping out some fantastic product. For me, what I felt, the Mavrik Pro felt the best. So if I was to buy a set based on just hitting this iron, looking at the numbers, I'm going with the Mavrik Pro. It felt fantastic, but they all look like really good clubs. This is just me hitting them. If you go try these at your local golf tech, they may feel a little bit different, and I'm gonna be interested to hearing your feedback. Let me know if you hit these in the comments section. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the 2021 Callaway lineup.